Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids and we are going into our 11th year homeschooling. I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you are notified of all of my future videos. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about my favorite homeschool supplies. And when I first thought about homeschool supplies and started making my list, I realized that most of these things are not what you would typically expect as a school supply, like markers and crayons and notebooks and such, but they're more resources that we use and have used for many years in our home, for me personally as well as my kids to continue our homeschool journey. So let's get started. The first item that I have on my list is a subscription service called Curiositystream. If you haven't heard of Curiositystream, it is a documentary subscription streaming service that costs, I think, around $20 for the year, and it gives you unlimited access to thousands of different documentaries. They have them listed by, history, science, technology, all kinds of different categories that you can go into and deep dive on. It is a perfect service for days that you are struggling and you just want to put on an educational documentary for your kids. My kids love it. Emma did a research paper on the Kamag horses last year, and she watched a documentary on Curiositystream as part of her research. It has so much to offer. There are child safety things that you can turn on so it doesn't show more graphic historical stuff, but for the most part, all of the content is really safe. I think it is a great price, $20 for an entire year of streaming. We started subscribing to it maybe in 2017, 2018, I think. And we renew every year. I love it. It's great, especially when you need a mental health day and you still want to have your kids do something educational. So that is number one on my list. The next thing on my list is definitely my Erin Condren teacher planner. I have been using this for 7 years now, I think. It has just really helped everything with my homeschool. I can keep everything straight. I do monthly planning, which I talked about in another video, where I go through and write down all of the important stuff that is happening throughout the month, whether it is appointments or practices or activities that we're going to be involved in, days off, all of the things. And then I also love these weekly schedule pages. I do weekly planning in my homeschool. I do not have a video about that yet. I hope to have one soon. But I just write Emma, Jack, Lucy, and then I have history, science, Brave Writer, and then an extra column, which tends to be for daily subjects or subjects that we are doing that I don't necessarily need to write a lesson plan for, just do the next page type of thing. I really love this. It becomes my record for the entire year. It has all of our resources that we're using, all of the curriculum. I keep track of all of the books my kids read, as well as the books that I read to my kids. Any planning from behind that I do, if we do a lot of interest-led learning, and I do planning from behind or reverse record keeping, where you write summaries of what you have done throughout the day or week, and you keep track of that. I have pages that are at the front of the month that are just like notes pages, line pages that I can just keep a little record in. So this is super helpful for me. I like to have a good record of everything that we have done for the year, and it keeps me on track. Like I said, I do use the weekly planning pages weekly. So on Sundays, I sit down and plan out everything for the week ahead. We are much more productive if I do it that way than trying to plan out everything all at once. Then I do have one school supply, and that is the Ticonderoga pencils. These are the best pencils that you can purchase. They are more expensive, but they don't break, they sharpen well, the erasers work and don't leave black marks across the page, frustrating your kids. It is worth the extra couple of dollars to buy these pencils rather than the cheaper alternatives because they last longer. Again, they sharpen well. Trust me, these are a good purchase. The next thing that I have on my list are these weekly schedule pads. This is also an Erin Condren product. I have been using these for, I don't know, ever since I started writing out plans for Emma. Maybe she was 6 or 7, writing a list for her. So it's been a lot of years. And I've used different iterations of this type of weekly schedule pad. I did just order a new one of these. It is the focused version, but it has more lines. I think it goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then a box for the weekend, which I don't actually need for my kids because I'm using it to write out their schoolwork for the week, but it's more lines. And originally I got these notepads, these schedule pads, because I didn't want to write too much stuff for my kids. And I had seen Sarah Mackenzie from Read Aloud Revival. She used just a plain spiral notebook to write out her lessons for each of her kids for each day. When I did that, I put too much on the list. So I needed more defined space so that I would not make my plans I wouldn't make my plans too much for my kids to actually finish. So these defined boxes have really worked for me over the years. Now that Emma is doing a couple of high school level courses, I need a little bit more space to get all of her stuff on her list each day. So I have ordered a new one, but I do use these for Lucy. I also have a checklist notepad for her as well, that it just works so well, and it helps to give them more ownership over their education so they know what they have to do each day and they are responsible for getting it done. But especially for their individual work that they do not need my help on, they are able to decide when they're going to do it and in what order. And I think that really helps them. It gives them a sense of time management and just being able to schedule their time better. So I love those lists. Yes, another favorite of mine. The next thing on my list is an Audible subscription, and we love audiobooks in my home. As literature-based homeschoolers, we read a lot of books. I read a lot of books aloud to my kids. My kids do a lot of reading as well, and sometimes there are books that are either more difficult to get through. I know that when Emma started reading Jane Austen, she started by listening to Jane Austen on audiobook and then reading it, and it helped her understand the language, the way the book was written, a little bit better. And now she loves all of those books. So it definitely works. And then the other reason is sometimes with 3 kids in 3 different grade levels and still being literature based, my voice gives out and I just can't read anymore. And so to have the option of some audiobooks is always wonderful. Audible is great because it does give you access to their Audible Plus catalog, which means that you are not purchasing those books. You are just able to listen to them whenever you want. There's a great catalog of kids' books. My youngest, Lucy, just listened to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which she loved, and she's listened to Peter Pan. So a lot of really great books are available on Audible Plus as well. So if you don't want to do Audible, the other option is through your library. They often have either like Hoopla or Overdrive, or there's another one, Libby maybe. I'm not sure. My library has access to Hoopla, and they have all kinds of things besides just audiobooks, but we primarily use it for audiobooks. And yeah, I think that audiobooks in your homeschool is always a good thing. You can put them on when your kids are eating lunch or for quiet time or in the evening to just sort of settle everybody down, or like if I need a break again with my voice, or maybe a book that the kids should be reading or I should be reading but really does not resonate with me, but the kids still like it. That actually happened a couple of years ago when we were reading a Greek myths book. It was really, I read about half of it and then I couldn't do it anymore. My kids loved it and I just wanted them to finish with the audiobook because I did not like it. So that is the next thing on my list. The next thing I have is another Amazon subscription service, and that is Kindle Unlimited. I have a link for all of these things in the description box if you are interested. But Kindle Unlimited is, you can essentially borrow any book from their Kindle Unlimited library, and there are so many books available. I love it because there are a ton of indie authors, which I really enjoy reading, or self-published authors. I like a lot of those books. And then there is a huge selection of kids' books available through Kindle Unlimited. Now, I know that you can also go to the library and get these books, or borrow books from the library. However, I noticed, especially over the past year and a half, our library was closed a lot. And even though we had access to Hoopla, there were a lot of issues with it. It kept disconnecting this year, I think partly because people were not in the library, and so we kept having to call the library to have our cards reactivated, and it was a hassle. And so having the Kindle Unlimited subscription, where I think we can take out 10 books at a time, and I have the Kindle Paperwhite, and my kids can just read whenever. It's great for Emma. At night, she can read and she doesn't disrupt Lucy. They share a room, so Emma doesn't have to leave her light on to read because she can read on the Paperwhite, and it keeps the rest of the room dark. I love to read on the Kindle Paperwhite at night as well. Probably a little too much, but it is a great subscription service. Again, a lot of the books that we read for Brave Writer are already on Kindle Unlimited, so I don't have to purchase the book unless I really want to. I do buy a lot of books. Obviously, I buy a lot of books, and if you've seen my basement and some of my vlogs, you'll know that we own a lot of books. But sometimes if I'm just picking random books here or there, I always check Kindle Unlimited first, because if it is there and I don't have to buy it, that's always a nice thing for me. I do have a special link for 2 months free of Kindle Unlimited if you're interested, and then you can cancel that at any time. You don't have to continue using it if you're not, if you don't find value in it, but I will have a link for that in the description box if you are interested. And then the final thing that I have on my list is actually a current events program that my kids use for their current events. Emma does current events every day, but she has 3 oral reports a week, and Jack he usually watches current events, but this year is the first year that he is required to also do 1 oral report for current events. And we use a subscription service called World Watch. They started last year, I think right after the pandemic started. It is a great subscription. It is a Christian worldview, and they have all kinds of stories from around the world. It's really interesting, and we love it quite a bit. And my kids really enjoy news, and I think it's because I am a news junkie, and we spend a lot of time talking about current events in our home. So for them to be able to have facts that I may not know and come to me with that information, I really love that. So that, I think it might be $80 for a year. And they have a new episode every day. It's about 10 to 15 minutes each day that the kids start first thing in the morning. They'll come down and they'll just log into World watch their program and make any notes. If they see a story that they're interested in doing for an oral report during the week, they will make a note of it and then go back and do a little bit more research for their report. So those are all of my most used, most loved homeschool supplies resources. And yeah, I just wanted to share some of those with you. I know that everybody's starting to get ready for back to homeschool, and I know that especially for current events, it took me a really long time to find something. You know, we don't get a newspaper anymore, or we never did, and then magazines, you know, are monthly, and I just don't want all of that paper in the house. So yeah, but I hope that this was informative to you. If you have any questions about any of the things that I mentioned, please leave them in the comments. I hope you will give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.